talk about Dejan Kulusevski as we turn our attention to Spurs. It looks like they're very happy with his work.
They are super happy. It was a smart signing, let me say, by Fabio Paratici, by Antonio Conte. They knew him very well because he was incredible at Parma in Serie A, Atalanta, Parma, and then he joined Juventus, but he wasn't happy at Juventus. He was playing as a winger in a 4-4-2, and it's not his position. He needs to play in that position, close to the striker, and this is the perfect position for him to perform at top level. So very smart signing. Let's remind that it's a loan deal with a potential buy option at the end of the season that could become mandatory buy option in case Tottenham will be in Champions League next season, and in case he will play a number of games this season, number of appearances with Tottenham. But what I can say is that it's 100% guaranteed that Tottenham will trigger the clause because they want to continue with Kulusevski. Kulusevski is super happy here, there, and he doesn't have any intention to go back to Juventus, and so Kulusevski will stay at Tottenham and he will be part of the future plans for the Spurs.
Yeah, fantastic. What a great impact he has had at the club. But another player who's really caught my attention and also on the international stage just recently has been Richarlison. Terrific, obviously, with the 2 goals he scored in the Champions League. Very interesting move. He also made some personal comments about other clubs that were potentially interested in acquiring him and just said basically that Tottenham came up with the bid and that's how the deal got done. But exactly how did the deal get done, Fabrizio?
Let me say that I love Richarlison, not just as a player, but also as a guy. He's a fantastic guy, funny guy, always honest when he's speaking with journalists. He doesn't care, and so he's always fantastic. Really great guy and great player. And say the truth, because the truth is that Chelsea tried to hijack the deal, Tottenham by signing Kulusevski. It was during the night because Richarlison was in Brazil together with his agents. He wasn't in Europe, he wasn't in England, he was in Brazil. And so he had a medical schedule in the morning in Brazil, so Brazilian time. And so during the European night, Chelsea tried to hijack that deal. There was also, from what I'm told, a conversation between Thiago Silva and Richarlison to try to tempt him, to persuade him to join Chelsea, but at that point was impossible because Richarlison had an agreement on the contract with Tottenham, and as he mentioned, Tottenham were really convinced. They had an agreement in principle with Everton. They were prepared to pay what Everton wanted, and so Tottenham have been perfect with the strategy, but it's true that Chelsea tried till the end to change this story. Also, Richarlison wanted to be respectful with Tottenham because they were really pushing. Antonio Conte was pushing, and I personally think that he's perfect player for Antonio Conte. He's a fighter, he has quality, but he is kind of European Brazilian player. I still remember the first time I saw him in person, it was with Watford, with Marco Silva as a manager, and I was really impressed by his performance because he doesn't seem a Brazilian player. He has quality, he has skills, but he's also a very smart player, European player with his ideas on the pitch, and so I think he's really great signing for Tottenham.
If you see him in person as well, and I was lucky to do so, he's a big boy. I mean, he is a strong boy as well. Keep those questions coming in. We'll get the best ones out to Fabrizio as soon as possible. We got one coming in here from Tevez. Hey, guys, thanks for being amazing once again. What is the secret deals did Tottenham attempt during the window, if any? Is there any deals, it's a great question, that we didn't necessarily hear about that Tottenham and Conte were trying to get over the line?
I would mention Malinovskyi, Ruslan Malinovskyi from Atalanta, because we had some rumor, but it was one of the priorities for Tottenham this summer. He was one of the players they really wanted, and the player wanted the move because Malinovskyi was dreaming, and he's still dreaming of Tottenham because he's convinced that working under Conte would be perfect for him. So Malinovskyi was really tempted by this possibility, and Tottenham wanted to sign him, but Atalanta president Percassi decided to keep the player. He's in love with the player, he's in love with Malinovskyi, so no intention to allow any loan deal with buy option because this was the proposal from Tottenham, a loan with buy option and not mandatory, so it was potentially a loan deal. For Malinovskyi, Atalanta had no intention to allow that kind of formula, and this is why the deal collapsed. But Malinovskyi is one of many players they tried to sign, because I think Tottenham fans now understand what I'm saying, but I'm always mentioning Fabio Paratici, the Italian director, because I know him so well since he was at Juventus, Sampdoria, many Italian clubs, and he's really obsessed with the transfer market. His style is negotiating for 3, 4, 5 players at the same time in the same position and then pick his favorite. So this is the style, and so they try for many players, but then at the end they had a very good window, I think.
I can't even begin to imagine what it's like for you in the transfer window. You must see deals that are just not out there, that are private deals, and you're thinking, wow, if this comes off, it's going to be pretty special for player and for club. What about Spurs' departures? Was there any big players potentially leaving the club that decided to stay in the end? Obviously, we heard rumors about Heung-min Son. He's obviously staying at the club. He had a slow start, but then recently got a hat-trick at the club. I mean, anything about Son or other players potentially leaving Tottenham Hotspurs they tried to grow and build as a club under Conte?
No, honestly, with Son was never close this summer. He never had any serious possibility to leave, but with one reason, because Daniel Levy is in love with him, Antonio Conte is in love with him, Fabio Paratici is in love with him, and he loves Tottenham. He loves the club, he loves the city, he loves the atmosphere around the team. And so Son is not desperate to leave the club, and Tottenham are super happy with him. So at the moment is a perfect situation between Son and Tottenham. And so this is why it was a relaxed summer for Son. A player who had the chance to leave and was really close to leave in Tottenham is Bryan Gil, the Spanish winger. He had an agreement in principle with Valencia, and there was an agreement between Tottenham and Valencia for a long time. It was more than 2 weeks. Everything agreed between Valencia and Tottenham for this loan deal with no buy option included, so a straight loan till the end of the season. But what happened is that Tottenham were not able to find a replacement for him, and Antonio Conte and Paratici were prepared to let him go only in case they had the opportunity to find another player in that position. It was not possible. I mentioned Malinovskyi because he's the player they wanted, but impossible for Malinovskyi, impossible for Carrasco from Atletico Madrid because they were not accepting any loan deal. And so this is why at the end Bryan Gil stayed at Tottenham, and let's see what happens in January.
It's Ian Joy with the one and only Fabrizio Romano. Before we move away from Tottenham Hotspur, we got to touch upon Harry Kane. I continue to get these messages, and the rumors from Bayern Munich are swirling all over Germany. I read the German newspapers. Fabrizio, they won't go away. What can you say to Spurs fans out there who are worried that maybe Harry Kane might leave the club?
But it's true that Bayern are obsessed with Kane in the sense that they are convinced, as we mentioned, that he's perfect player for Bayern. But I would be relaxed at the moment on Tottenham position because Harry Kane feeling about Tottenham project is completely different than 1 year ago. 1 year ago, he wanted to leave and join Man City. It didn't happen. But now there is Antonio Conte. Conte is more than a manager. Conte is my favorite manager, and I understand why also for many players he's super appreciated because he's giving you the mentality. He's bringing different mentality into the dressing room. It's not just what you see on the pitch. It's on the daily basis, on the training ground. What you can feel with Antonio Conte is completely different. And so Kane is super happy with Conte. Also, the Italian director, Fabio Paratici, is pushing with Kane and with his camp to extend the contract because they want Kane to be the face of Tottenham project. And he's really happy with Tottenham at the moment. So conversations on a new contract are not advanced yet, but he knows that Tottenham want to offer him a new deal. He knows that there will be conversations. And so at the moment is not a negotiation between Bayern and Tottenham. Let's see if Bayern will decide to go big in the next summer. But at the moment, the situation is still just about the interest. It's speculation, but it's not something close or advanced.
I think they're going to have to at some point, Fabrizio. When I look at the strikers, you lose Lewandowski, you're losing a lot of goals there. So at some point, Bayern Munich, I can imagine, are going to be on your Twitter handle about making a move or interested in some of the top strikers.